looking out onto my eyelashes in an agony of delightful anticipation.
Listen to them, the children of the night. What music they make.
From the D&E studios, welcome to the Dracula Podcast. I'm your host, Lawrence Burgess, or LB for short. Thank you to my producer, Adam Stover, Rob and Martha of Southgate Media, and most of all, you for listening. We aim to bring you thoughtful and stimulating media, reviewing the films, books, music, and plays that make Stoker's creations so beloved, criticism to inform your purchasing decisions, interesting guests, and the needs of our communities. Drop us a line. Please send us your questions and comments to Dracula Audio, no spaces, on Twitter, or emails at audio.dracula@gmail.com. Once again, that's Dracula Audio, no spaces, on Twitter, or email at audio.dracula@gmail.com. We will do our best to respond to queries directly or on our show. Welcome. My sincerest appreciation goes out to all of you for listening and joining in. We hope you took a chance to listen to our previous episodes. If not, check out the Southgate Media homepage at southgatemediagroup.com. That's southgatemediagroup.com. There you can find us all over the place at iTunes, Libsyn, Stitcher, and a whole mess of other places around the friendly interwebs. So, along with Stoker's novel, we cover the show Penny Dreadful. The 10-episode second season of Penny Dreadful premieres May 3rd, that's 2 days before Cinco de Mayo, at 10 p.m. on Showtime. No competing with Game of Thrones here. There's no excuse not to watch. To prepare our listeners for the second season, we'll be touching on each episode of Penny Dreadful chronologically. Each will be preceded by the tagline, spoilers. So, we were going to go into Penny Dreadful this week. However, we have a very extra special interview, and I also want to give you guys another week to grab that Blu-ray. As of today, Season 1 of Penny Dreadful on Blu-ray is $28.75 from Amazon.com. Best Buy and the rest price match. Again, no DVD. You will miss the details from dropping away from 1080, so don't. And if you don't watch Penny Dreadful, the terrorists will win and you don't love America. So get that Blu-ray today. And we'll start right in with our inbox. And thank you so much for the response. We really, honestly don't have time to respond to them all on our show, but here's one which goes directly into this episode. Eric from Milton, West Virginia writes, "What's going on with the Dracula TV show?" I presume that's the NBC show to which this podcast was previously dedicated. We'll be actually reviewing this show, its successes and failures, in our media review portion of the show. You ready over there? Yeah, I'm ready over here. Okay. And we're going right into it. It's news from around the globe. First story is from ShropshireStar.com, and they're actually pulling the plug on filming the new Dracula movie taking place in Shropshire. Title of it is, the producers of Dracula 2015 Killer on the Catwalk had planned to make their movie in Hungary, but later changed their minds and decided to shoot it in Bridgenorth, Morville, Ludlow, Arley, and Much Wenlock, with key locations including Ludlow Castle and Aldenham Park in Morville. They're not going to be filming it there. Actually, this is the first time I've heard of Dracula 2015 Killer on the Catwalk. Notable in the cast is James Bond actor George Lazenby, who is supposedly a vampire hunter. The name is not familiar at all to me, so I suppose this is going to be an original take. Thank you to ShropshireStar.com. Second story is from the Wells Journal in the UK. It's Get Your Teeth into Dracula show at Wedmore. This was posted on February the 24th, 2015, starring David Min. Take Art and Wedmore Theatre Club present Dracula on Friday, February the 27th. He is coming, keep your windows locked, and gather in the garlic. And this is produced by Rabbit Theatre, written by Andrew McPherson, directed by Simon Harvey, and it is the one-man performance of Dracula, and we have actually touched on this before. Please, if you guys get a chance to see the show, let us know. We haven't heard of a one-man performance before, and I'm very interested in that. That's extremely interesting. I've actually seen a lot of good one-man shows around here, but not of our beloved Count. And the next one is actually from the Daily Mail in the UK, and the title is Dracula Unraveled. Transylvania's Gothic Bran Castle is the go-to destination for vampire enthusiasts, but what is the true connection with Count Dracula? It was published by Jason Chester on February 24th, 2015. And basically, it's a really good historical analysis of Bran Castle, where it goes with Vlad the Impaler of Wallachia, is a very, very interesting and has lots of media, good pictures, and good analysis in it too. For some ungodly reason, they have Dracula Untold. That's not Vlad, folks. We've actually reviewed that last episode. If you're curious of what we think about Dracula Untold, go backwards, take a listen. It is the previous episode right onto this one. But it actually talks about breakfast lodges, hotels, once again, the historicity of the place. It's really, really interesting. We promised you that we had an interview this week. I call it interview for the benefit of our audience, but honestly, we on the Dracula Podcast, we don't have interviews, we have conversations. We were fortunate this week to speak with the person who's actually mixing, mastering, and scoring the music for Dracula the audio drama. His credits also include the latest albums from the Renfields, the Jasons, and the Big Bad. He's based out of Charleston, West Virginia, and I'm very privileged to call this man a friend. This is Greg Hunt, owner and operator of the Foxborough, and we're getting into that conversation right now. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor and privilege to introduce to you the owner and operator of the Foxborough and the finest musician that I have ever heard, Greg Hunt. Greg, thank you for coming on board and speaking to us today.
Hello.
When you were approached to do this project, what drew you in? What was the spark that ignited your brain?
It's all interconnectivity.
When we talked about this project, it was very structured and it was very planned. Like the notes on a page are sometimes very structured and very planned. But when you talk about interconnectivity, especially with the characters, the music seems to be a character in itself. Where does your character, your music, where does it come from with this project?
From the characters in the book itself. Like the castle is its own character.
So when you heard Jonathan Harker, he's this young guy, he's this lawyer, and he wants to impress. He wants to get ahead professionally, and he wants to get ahead financially and romantically. And he leaves the country and he goes into this place. What did you do to take Harker from one place and take him to another? What's that sweep? Where did you get the inspiration for that?
From his calmness, really. He's the voice of reason, the beginning of the story, really. And right off, it's Dracula and Jonathan and not knowing. Though it alludes to that, of course. Very early on.
When you heard Dracula for the first time, what kind of instruments came into your head musically?
A bassoon, harpsichord, strings, of course, tubular bells, a mix of electronic, synthetic pads and textural sounds, and just layered with classical music, and a bit more heavy-hitting drums, a bit more punchy, tying all those elements in, and then also using, things like the golden mean in music, which isn't done so much these days.
Can you elaborate on what the golden mean is?
1.61803. It's the golden ratio. The Fibonacci sequence, from a spiral in a seashell to a snail to how a violin's made. These curvatures that happen in nature, which is how everything was created anyway, which is somatically through vibration.
You talked about a number. We also discussed numbers early on in the process. You told me you did something with the numbers and the letters of the title of the book. What is that, and why did you arrive at that decision?
That's serial composition. I just used the alphabet. You could use the Hebrew alphabet or anything for that matter and subscribe these correspondences. So in this case, A equals A.
Yeah, because it's really interesting because you're talking about the golden mean, and then you talk about the number 7, and it seems like numbers have they're really strong in this thing. Like there's 27, 7, the golden mean, 3 sisters, odd numbers.
Yeah, it has a huge influence. And then from the title track, the theme, we use the serial composition of subscribing, the 12 notes to the alphabet, but it repeats. So if we were to spell, in this case, spell Dracula, just Dracula, D equals D sharp, R is an F. So, using the sequence of notes, just simple sequential pattern, spelling that with these notes, you've got 7 of them. Why not put this piece in 7/4?
How did you feel when you heard those notes played together the first time?
I knew it was correct.
Something else that kind of struck me was your influences about the characters. When you heard Dracula go from dead to angry, the music kind of goes from existential to something very sinister and something very unworldly. But when he's dead, you have this castle as a character, and you have the music as a character. Talk about the music as a character when you first get to Dracula's castle, because that's very interesting, and I don't think I really fully understand it.
Speaking of numbers again, the piece of your own free will has 5 syllables in it, and just so happens to be in 5/4. In this piece, I was working up the initial ideas with Adam and just playing 2 acoustic guitars. And of course, it's not going to be that. It's going to be a violin, string section, all this. But for whatever, I don't even remember how we arrived at 5, but all these start to notice these little synchronicities that start to add up, and you go with it musically and otherwise. But the number 5 in general had me thinking about mortality, our 5-ness on our hands. It's so manifest. The first letter in Hebrew is Yod, which means hand.
You mentioned working with Adam. What's it like coming in and bouncing ideas off of him and creating something like this?
I was really creative. A lot of the grunt work doing alone on this, the quilling, we'll say, digital quilling these days. Yeah, that initial spark, just collaboration is really magical, because it's like the numbers and the synchronicities.
When someone purchases this thing, what character do you think is going to stand out to them, and why?
Pretty obviously going to be the dragon, isn't it?
Why?
It's the most obvious and the most true.
When this is mastered, when it's prepared to go to the public, when you have your music playing on top of these voices and someone sitting by themselves or in a group listening to this thing, what is your hope that they get out of it? When I asked this to Adam, Adam says, unlike any other version of Dracula, you are going to get a complete story. And what really drove us through this process, correct me if I'm wrong, was that we are staying true to the vision of Bram Stoker. Everyone knows who Bela Lugosi is. Everyone knows who Jack Palance is, and all these actors, but they don't know Bram Stoker.
No.
The vision of it.
The original.
So when someone listens to that, keeping that in mind.
Subtle dialects and all that, it's just so many layers. It's 10 times more horrifying than watching any film version of it, because if you close your eyes and use your imagination, you're using that language and go inward, and it's way more horrifying. And then you have to delve into your own heart of darkness on this. Willard from Apocalypse Now couldn't tell Kurtz's story without telling his own, and it's the same in the compositional sense with this piece.
I'll tell you what, me personally, I can't wait till the music is complete. I am so looking forward to hearing this live. And ladies and gentlemen, if you get the opportunity to come and listen to the actors speak and listen to Greg Hunt and his masterful work being played, I guarantee you won't be disappointed. Greg, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you
for everything.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Greg Hunt, owner and operator of the Foxborough in Charleston, West Virginia. Find them on Facebook. Give them a like. When it comes to quality, when it comes to service, it's the Foxborough which takes the cake. If you have a project, if you have a need, it's Greg Hunt who can help you out. And look, I'm not getting paid a dime for this. I'm telling you because it's true. There is no one who does justice to music and mastering like Greg Hunt. And I'm just privileged to call him a friend. Look, I sat in the room with the guy, and I gained 12 IQ points just by being there. You listen to him speak, connecting geometry and numbers into making something special. We lucked out. We really lucked out. So now it's the time on our show where we deal with our causes. And I've been looking around quite a bit, and one actually struck me right before I started to record today. And it's actually from change.org. I really don't like to go to change.org because it smells a little political. But this one's too important. The title of it is Petitioning the South Carolina State Senate, Take Action to Save Victims of Domestic Violence. I know a few people from South Carolina, and they are all very kind and friendly folks. The author of this is Melissa Davis Walker from Johns Island, South Carolina. It reads, "My name is Melissa Davis Walker. I am a survivor of domestic violence, and I am tired of living in a state with the highest rate of domestic violence in the country. We need laws that protect victims from the people that abuse them. Currently, the laws are failing victims that make little sense. First-time offenses hold a 30-day sentence? First-time offenses hold a 30-day sentence? Well, what if you beat a girl to death? Is that a 30-day sentence? Would that be considered as murder? First-time offenses hold a 30-day sentence, so you can just beat the crap out of somebody and go in jail for 30 days? And going down a little bit, this story is heartbreaking. For 13 years, my 5 children and I lived in fear. My husband threatened, beat, and choked me for the duration of our marriage, and I felt like the law couldn't protect me. It was only when my son bravely confided in a school official after my husband pointed a loaded shotgun at his head that we finally got the legal support we needed to put him behind bars." Wow. I'm dumbfounded. Look, if you have the need to beat someone, your spouse or a friend, 1, you're a royal prick. But 2, you need to get some help. And if there are laws, if this is a real thing, and there's no reason to believe there isn't, it's ripping me up. So, why this petition? The state is considering a bill that will require harsher punishments for offenders in the hopes of stemming the cycle of abuse. Bill S2e3 will allow the government to base punishment not on the number of times a person has committed the crime, but on the severity of the injury caused to the victim. Wow. No longer would a first-time offense put you behind bars for a mere 30 days with a chance at release after serving just 15. So here's what you need to do. You need to go to this site. It's called www.change.org. And the title of it is South Carolina Senate to Take Action to Save Victims of Domestic Violence. The lady is named Melissa Davis Walker. All you have to do is sign the petition. It needs 25,000 signatures. I've already signed it because the thought of somebody getting beaten, I'm a bit sick, to be honest, and I might have to take a break after this. You need to sign this petition. It's extremely important. The Governor, Nikki Haley, in the South Carolina legislature, she wants to tell them that women matter. And I would tell Governor Haley in the South Carolina legislature that women do matter, and not just women, but men. Men and women equally are victims of domestic violence. So guess what? Sign this today, send it to the South Carolina State Senate, and let's stop this crap. Take a stand. Enough. No more. And we're back on the Dracula Podcast. To be honest, I needed a break. Whew. My goodness. People in pain, people getting abused. There's no call for that. It's all ugly. With that terrible segue, now we're actually going to transition into the media review for the day, or as Professor Van Helsing calls it,
the ghastly paraphernalia of our beneficial trade.
We are now taking on the NBC version of Dracula, which premiered in 2013 and ended after 1 season in 2014. Its creator was Cole Haddon and stars Jonathan Rhys-Meyers of The Tudors fame, Jessica DeGao, who's also been seen on Arrow, and Thomas Kretschmann, who was excellent in the movie The Pianist. The first episode, The Blood is the Life, premiered October 25th in 2013. The premise is Dracula is masquerading as a businessman, Alexander Grayson, mixing Vlad the Impaler and Dracula, much akin to the Francis Ford Coppola version in 1992. Another parallel to that is Mina is also his lost love and becomes fixated on her. The final episode, Let There Be Light, was January 24th, 2014. Unlike other previous versions of Dracula, they talk about the Order of the Dragon. They talk about the Order of the Dragon and where it stands in Vlad's plans. Where do I start? I really wanted to like this show. Jonathan Rhys-Meyers was fine. He's like Luke Evans. With a better script and a better story, he would have been quite good. But let's look at the other characters. Jonathan Harker is very weird. In the book, he goes through a sense of insanity, and none of that drama and tension is there. He's really not that important. Another part which really gets under my skin is they fall victim again to making Lucy a Hoa, and Lucy is not a Hoa. Lucy is very important. Lucy is the thread of Stoker's narrative, and she's really reduced to a harlot character. There's more. Van Helsing and Dracula are, for a lack of a better term, bros. They are working together. I cannot believe I just said those words in a sentence. Yes, Van Helsing and Dracula are working together. That's a bit like Sherlock Holmes and Professor Moriarty working together, or Batman and the Joker working together. It doesn't even make sense when I'm talking about it on a podcast. I'm trying to understand why the writer would make such a decision, and honestly, getting high on weed wouldn't help. Universal again fails to make an impact, just like Dracula Untold. That's 2 Universal. 3 strikes, you're out. But the worst part of this whole scenario is this is painfully slow. They could have told the whole story in 1 episode. They drew it out, and they're trying to establish this cinematic universe and reestablish Dracula as a character. Dracula doesn't need to be reestablished as a character in this vein. People don't know Bram Stoker. This is not Bram Stoker. That's the problem. None of the drama, none of the action is there. Renfield is sane. I understand. You can retell characters. You can reinvent them in certain ways. But there are certain things you don't do. You don't take the dark out of Batman. You don't take the dark out of Dracula. You don't take the crazy out of Renfield. And you don't make Lucy a Hoa. And for goodness sakes, Dracula and Van Helsing are not bros. And it's very strange. Just like on our previous episodes, we're going to inform you how to consume it. Are you ready? Can you guess? That's right. You don't have to consume it. There is a much better show. In fact, I don't even like to call Dracula a show. It felt like a really boring state of consciousness where I would honestly rather shave my face with a cheese grater. It was really that bad. It was really slow. And it could have been so much better. Again, there's so much material here that Universal, they really dropped the ball again. I'm not sure if they can make a quality Dracula product. They had their shot in 31 and they did a great job there, but I don't know. In 1979, I liked the John Badham version with Frank Langella, but man, I know what Universal's trying to do. They're trying to appeal to a female audience. Well, guess what? Girls aren't dumb. They want to see good stories too. You don't have to make a hunky guy and all about love stories. Don't watch the show. Save your money. Don't buy it on DVD. Don't watch the thing. Watch something else instead. And if you want to watch a show with actual writing, watch Penny Dreadful. Leave this thing alone. Woof. Folks, that's all I have for today. I know it's been disappointing. 2 weeks in a row, we've had a bit of a stinker. But Dracula Untold is a little less of a stinker than Dracula NBC because it's shorter. Thank you once again to my producer Adam Stover, Rob and Martha of Southgate Media, and most of all you for listening. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time. And to you and yours, have an excellent day.